We are live. Hello, everyone. My name is Richard Millett, the one, and this is the quarantine stream. This is the 54th one. I, of course, am Richard Millett. This is, of course, an apple. You can observe that this is an apple. Now let us hear the ever lovely, ever wonderful, ever joyous, ever charismatic, ever meaningful, ever lovely, ever inspiring, ever dutiful, ever bountiful, ever meaningful, effervescent. Yes, made that joke 2 times. Evergreen quarantine stream theme, shall we? Beautiful. Hope you're all doing okay out there. Hope you're. I hope you're. I hope that you are getting vaccinated. As I have been saying, if it is good enough for Jilla Biafra, Patty Smith, Jack Grisham, and many others, then it is good enough for you. There we are. Beautiful. All right. This is the, let's see. Let's go with, no. There we go. All right. We've wasted a lot of time so far, haven't we? Jesus Christ. This is called Transformacion. Gullwing, gold leaf, ivory, elevator doors open, reveal a portrait of an orchard saying, "This wicker basket contains every memory you've ever had, so if you've got a purple number, come over, pull out a slip, and start to reminisce." Me and my sister playing parlor tricks in the back seat while Dad turns up the radio to drown us out. Then he leans down, increasing speed on his way to the dog show. Come over, pull out another favorite, favorite. Semifinalists in the quarterfinals of our school district's annual spelling bee, and I got here on an easy word. Charisma. Afterward, we went out for ice cream cake, even though my mom wanted bagels instead. We let her hold the trophy as sort of a meta text consolation prize. Transformacion! The baby blue lagoon gull wing elevator doors open to a balloon crooning and a soprano profundo. Today you're in a classroom sitting between a magic wand and a sprinkler, behind a rhinoceros and in front of a stethoscope, ready to make toothpaste out of erasers, lipstick, and hairspray. Today you're in a classroom and your substitute teacher is Adeline, a 102-year-old oak tree, and you're making birthday presents for her best friend. You're ready to make nylons out of eyeliner and passport pages filled with stamps of horse-shaped signatures. Transformacion! The pleated red vinyl elevator doors open to reveal a singing taxi. Today it's your birthday and you get breakfast in bed, served on a star-shaped black and white television set, blinking lights on the pillowheads, milk on a blue and white dress. Today it's your birthday and you get the pink and blue book with blank pages to fill in, with drawings of budgies and juice boxes, rainbows over razors, crisp bubblegum in between mint baseball cards. The gold wing, gold leaf, ivory elevator doors open, reveal a portrait of an orchard transplanted to a beach. Today, you're taking a surfboard out of a small bus while watching a girl pick up the wallet that fell out of her purse. While your head is plate glass and your arms are oars and your hands are rafts. Today, you're making videos on the boardwalk of people roller skating while holding umbrellas or eating ice cream off towels, while your mouth is a string swimming in circles, while daylight is young and they intend to dream of visiting Playa, full of pleasant playing tones rhyming ever so tinily and wranglily in something misheard and turned into a quiet joke among monks, and either a brethering ein fail. Nope. There we are. That's what we like. That's so much better. You people out there have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. Not trying to be difficult. All right. return to beauty is the path forward to freedom. There's an idea.
Simulacrum. 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 Simulacrum.
Got all that? This is about very same topic. This is called The Rabbit and the Cowardly Wolf. Who cares? An angry, ingrown sore, spreading red, silently whining. The body? What body? The published excerpts. Her body, a brace of muscle spasms in her right bicep. She'd observe her pet rabbit in its cage and skip past the turn-of-the-century print in her father's office depicting a fox hunt, and yet, just 1 block away, another rabbit sat in the passenger seat, horribly embarrassed, as the Cowardly Wolf got a breathalyzer and then failed to walk in a straight line. But back to the unnamed girl. I think it might have been Amanda or Amy. When one's head is round as a bowling ball and smokes their shame and presses bare-chested on saplings in the spring at dawn for an unobserved tiny tingle before the roll is called. Clearly mockery is uncalled for and exoneration is at a premium, but we shall not allow for a violation of definitions, especially for one as important to this narrative as Amanda or Amy. No. When the rabbit stepped down as the star of his own sitcom to attend to those personal issues there had been so many whispers about and viral videos of, the Cowardly Wolf suddenly was left without something to watch, emulate, idolize, sneak in a quick jerk during the commercials, to argue with, get enlightened by, surprised by, study, evaluate, grade, rate, review, proselytize on behalf of, display obscure knowledge of, and obviously whinge that it wasn't as good as the early years, and then he would know since he was there before whoever he wasn't impressing. But since no other show gave the Cowardly Wolf the flood of serotonin he craved so restlessly, he grudgingly and pragmatically chose to watch reruns in perpetuity. And why not dress it up a little, for they could be revivals, or even better, celebrations. A new institution, a part of our shared experience, an ongoing mounting heritage. Clutter. Television was revoked. The Rabbit and Cowardly Wolf decided to intercept their favorite actor's private plane as he touched down at the dullest airport you can imagine. The duo were hilarious to themselves. Is he wearing rayon? It's not like he couldn't afford Ultra Suede. After the actor greeted them with a few quick canned quips, he deftly inked 2 memories, and upon his departure, the Cowardly Wolf chided the rabbit about mistaking the actor's autograph for a pictograph. As they later sat in the 50s diner, their root beers run flat, the jukebox unplugged by the owner. Who was that fighter who won a round without throwing a single punch? It wasn't Willie Pep. Which one are you? An afterthought. Welcoming back Amanda or Amy. He spent his first life as Alexander the Great's chariot. He'd get upset when his action figures didn't eat the cucumber sandwiches he'd made. He'd put down his crayons and say things like, "You're Arnold and I'm Willis." "No, you're Mr. Drummond and I'm Dudley." "Well, I'm Bruce Wayne and you're Commissioner Gordon." "No, you're Dick Grayson and I'm Edward Nygma." "No, you're wrong. I'm Ryan Sandberg and you're Leon Durham." "No, you're Keith Moreland and I'm Rick Sutcliffe." Amanda or Amy. I handed him my ovation, but it wouldn't play. Total silence. He gave it back to me, and I sounded like Segovia. He tried one more time, and it was like someone had pressed a mute button. "I see that you've just wandered in. Would you like to give an account of yourself?" The unclean offerings are an example of a permissive society, the long, thin membrane that seems to lead skyward. You are so well-spoken, and none of us would have noticed. Reverse gentrification. The committee smiles, the lead lawyer holding out a pen. The rabbit renews his contract, and his first project, a mystery called If Only You Were Innocent. Photographs, press conference, no disclosed details of the arrangement. He thanked his agent Marty Weber with a note in a fruit basket. The rabbit's people punched up the script with gems like, "Son, you're a born fact-checker, right down to the letter. I'll sell my secrets because I don't care." And, of course, Only dogs try to understand things. Meanwhile, the Cowardly Wolf had disappeared for 4 days to investigate a garden. He had wanted to make a biopic about himself, but he couldn't secure the rights. The rabbit, the Cowardly Wolf, slumped drunkenly against the back wall of their town, with only the moonlight reflecting off their wine bottle. Neither the Harridan butcher's wife nor the laborer pounding spikes shall but feel the rigidity known in the necks, like the mechanic's racks that feels nor floats a lodestone on the banks betwixt a bell end and an alarm clock. Do you think it's wrong to contradict yourself, seasick, since you are no longer allowed to enjoy a glass of water? A Cowardly Wolf mumbles a roar as that goddamn kid has taken his seat on the train again. Off the rails with that wretched decade. Then the remorse, the introspective post-mortem, the fashion, the architecture, the music, the media, the technology, indecisive broad gestures, sweeping changes of the subject, conflating placating terminology with warm sentiment. The Cowardly Wolf appears to ignore the news feed. Deeply flawed, archaic, downright prehistoric, dances over the line of self-parody so often you start to lose the ability to tell the difference. An obvious forced version of what he used to do so effortlessly. I really miss Amanda or Amy. The rabbit and Cowardly Wolf get x-rays together, paw and paw at the clinic. Nothing's broken. They just like the way their jewelry looks against their bones in the photographs. At the ballet, the view from the private box is undisturbed, and the rabbit relaxes and holds a bucket of carrots. The Cowardly Wolf watches him gnaw. They bought tickets using pseudonyms and are wearing new suits with contrasting fedoras and little pasted-on beards. In between acts, the Cowardly Wolf yawns, "Must they always?" which the rabbit doesn't hear. Then the lights go black. A cameo appearance. The rabbit bribed a policeman as the Cowardly Wolf crouched behind a bush filming it all. And while both are smart enough to accept that this is an inherently artificial medium, they can't stand exposition disguised as dialogue or arbitrary structural decisions or the limitations of the budget or when some exec wants to just cast his nephew who's just trying to find a way to break in, Amanda or Amy. I've always had such a high opinion of you. Save your dignity. Don't call the press. Preserve the essence of drama, the command, the show that intermittently ends and begins. Leave.
Simulacrum.
So true. Excuse me. This is called Fawn. First of all, this is an apple. As you can see, there's a stem, short one, but a stem nonetheless. Peel, there's a core on the inside, fruit, the flesh on the inside. This is an apple. I think we can all agree this is an apple. This is called a poem called Fawn. Two brothers named Canary were said to have stolen from the community chest. They didn't have the decency to steal from the wealthy, take what they need, and give away the rest. But the law couldn't be trusted, and thus were never called. So the Canaries were chastised and marched to the town walls. The locals hoped word would travel down the wire, and that they'd be denied lodgings, food, and water wherever they retired. But quickly enough, the Canaries were forgotten and continued to ride along freely, without judgment or punishment. And if they committed any further acts of thievery, it was never noted publicly. Griffith, resplendent in a natty navy suit, steals Jessica's champagne in a wrong-headed attempt to give it back later as a gift, thinking that she'll appreciate it more. Jessica, powerful yet delicate in a mellow peppermint pencil dress, rubs the bristle of Griffith's temples into his sweat and wonders how many texts he'll have to hide from her next. Griffith says he can break skin without bleeding. He dyes water blue before he drinks. He memorizes reviews, then skips to the end of the books that he reads. Jessica can get arrested and go straight home and spend the rest of her week yelling at strangers on the street, snapping reaction shots of the backs of their heads. Griffith is flummoxed as he's photographed exiting his favorite bar in the early morning, his mother's birthday on his mind and a lone cigarette tucked behind his ear. Jessica is photographed ironically flashing a peace sign, her mother's week-long visit thankfully now over. Griffith explains to his extended family the nature of his many public feuds and why they will persist, and bats away a leading question by their lawyer, disregarding being disproven by facts, feeling justified and thinking that the best way to reconcile a discrepancy is to attack. Or, as might have been dreamt of in a different way, they made fun of his family name. They insulted his family name. Jessica explains to the management at her company that, discounting what could be considered her offensive language, the inherent truth of her statement still stood, though she was struck speechless when asked if she thought that only her supporters were aware of her content. According to her informants, a known opponent, unaware she was being recorded, made a rude remark, the weight of which contradicted her previously stated public stance. She compromised her previously stated stance. The prize fish! Fawn's teeth snap on the water when her magnetic coiled alertness goes unrewarded. Satsuki states her ideas for posterity. The problem that I see is that they assume everyone who agrees with them about one thing agrees with them about everything. The problem that I see is that it's another version of corporate thinking, another way of being right-wing. Fucking imagine that. The problem that I see is that they assume that I'll be a standard bearer. The problem that I see is that they are only willing to write their words in chalk. The problem that I see is that they limit me to things I had no control over. The problem that I see is that their personal truth has no dialogue with honesty. You know, there is only truth, right? Just between you and me, us old friends here. There is only truth. There are not truths. There is just truth. There is only truth. There is only truth. There is one truth, and there is only that truth. There is one truth, the truth. There is one truth, the truth. Satsuki states ideas that she would likely later delete. I'll never be able to stop forcing emotions from myself. I'll never be able to be an eggshell. I'll never be able to be a pierced genital. I'll never be able to convince people. I saunter past the bar and the JPEGs of 2003 like it fucking means anything. I step over the bar and resurfaced insisting that sounds like a rhinestone. I ignore the bar and the people whose minds comprise the seventh circle. I shake my head at the bar, hoping to get money from acquaintances for friendship services. Satsuki notes all the things that she's overheard. I try and fail and cannot help but hate the people who stay past closing and get distracted where there's a webcam on the wall, hoping no one saw you picking pepper out of your teeth, while thinking, oh, it's like modern art and this is being seen somewhere, and I'm the subject in this moment, this ultimate moment. Take a drink. The gays take a drink. It's empowering. I wonder if I know them. Old movies to me are like Dream a Little Dream. I wouldn't watch anything older because I'd be bored and I wouldn't even know what they were talking about. Imagine that. How are we doing out there? Yeah. we're gonna do one from we're gonna do one from the new book. Or at this point I should now say the latest book. It's 5 months old. It's been out for 5 months. That book, of course, by the way, I will shamelessly plug. That book, of course, is Apples and Ice Swimming Together in Soapy Water. It's out there on the interwebs. Physical copies are available. And go to fluxlifeinc.com, go to books, and there it is, listed among all the many other works. Anyway, are you so sick of people who cannot do it for real and keep acting like they are? Aren't you tired of people who don't do it for real? This is called Windy Sequins. Through the missing bricks, you can see a banquet table with a candelabra crooked from water-falling wax. On the other side of the missing bricks is a tablecloth with faintly gray claw stains left by mourning doves. Through the missing bricks, there is a banquet table heaving with indentations from apples, persimmons, cantaloupes, and pears. On the other side of the missing bricks, there is a deer walking in the distance while a finger painting floats to the ground. Through the missing bricks, there is a banquet table with unopened telegrams and sturdy silver trays stacked up with books about the Enlightenment. On the other side of the missing bricks, there is a pebble garden placed on a tree branch next to a mortar and pestle. Through the missing bricks, there is a banquet table, lined along the bottom right edge with bowls of cold dandelion soup. Seated 45 degrees away from the banquet table is a man with a salt and pepper waxed mustache humming waltzes and complaining about the distortions of sounds and colors. 110 years old, and he doesn't know that electric blue can be beautiful too.
Simulacrum. 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 Simulacrum.
This is called Physical Copies. He detached himself years ago, spent every night this week with his face in his phone, or making excuses why he cannot come home. What is he looking at for so many hours? Where does he go? What is it that captivates him so? You respect his privacy, but you also have a right to know. Maybe he only wants the girlfriend experience instead of the reality. Perhaps he can only cope with false intimacy. Or maybe it just took this long to discover that his natural disposition could easily be described as unpleasantly empty. Maybe in his mind, he's only got 8 months left to live. Maybe he's just too afraid to be embarrassed. Or maybe he only cares about his ease of convenience. You figure he can't even remember the memories that you treasure. You catch him glancing at you and wondering if he's recalling something he once heard Mr. Blackwell say. The more hardware, the less personality. What does he spend his money on? All you know is that he never has enough. And he doesn't buy the things that he used to show interest in. He certainly hasn't gotten you a gift in months. he doesn't seem to respond to your new clothes, makeup, or perfume. And then there's that most disconcerting fact. When you realize that even the implants won't bring him back.
Simulacrum. Simulacrum.
This is from the latest book. Again, this is, don't you hate people who don't do it for real? Don't you hate that? Aren't you fucking sick of that? Aren't you fucking sick of it? Aren't you fucking ready to fucking pierce this shit? Aren't you sick of people who don't do it for real, who don't even know how, who would never know how? This is called Parallel Place. I live in a parallel place where the land is level, where the streets are bright in the evenings, and I know what tomorrow brings. I live in a parallel place where the wind is cold, where gray haired men sweep the bandshell and foxes sleep under church bells. I hear the lank haired women walking in the morning, their faces shaped by the sun. I live in a parallel place where there's endless electricity with very low voltage, where everyone dies of old age. I live in a parallel place where rain runs into a tunnel, where able-bodied women clear the gutters and dragonflies rise in a slow-motion flutter. I see the able-bodied men hauling fallen branches, their faces shaded by the sun. I live in a parallel place where people speak in peace, where the foreman's spouse greets the mailman in a see-through blouse. I live in a parallel place where the forest faces east, where contracts are written in invisible ink and codes are created with a wink. I see all the people breathing through the day, their faces graced by the sun. Blissful cardinals, blissful infants, blue reflections magnified 10,000 times, blue beams bouncing off aged lenses, radiant artifacts, radiant heirlooms, white sails blistered by the salty sun, white china stacked up in cupboards, shining domes, shining necklaces, green feelings balanced on a yardstick, green parchment weighted down by grapes. This is from another time. This is a really old piece. I wrote it. How old would I have been? 17? If it comes up, it might not, because it looks like we're having problems. We're good. This is from another time. There was a moral panic that I came of age during. That's now referred to as the Satanic Panic. It was not called that back then. There wasn't a name for it. There were many components of it. So there were housewives of Democrats. There were religious right fanatics. Ultimately, what it came down to was ideologues imposing their petty morals And the way that you dissolved that, the way that you corroded that was with truth. Truth is the beauty of free expression. That's the truth. So while this may be slightly archaic or outdated in a way, perhaps it isn't, because these things are cyclical. History, of course, does not. History is not some sort of condition that is going to ultimately unfold in glorious results. These things just go round and round and round, and that's fucking reality. So, with that all in mind, this is called It's All Just a Toot and a Snore. Sitting watching TV, another preacher choked by greed, and it's making my eyes bleed. It's not God that he sees, but it's money that he needs. So I asked, what is religion? Because it ain't about the crucifixion or the Sermon on the Mount, because it's your pledge that counts. And I can't see why people fly to the system that has tried to buy, pry, and lie to your soul. Take control of your mind. Don't be blind. We are all divine, and you are not their kind. The litany of the Trinity holds some back, and their psyche cracks from the Bible on their backs. Don't be a slave to salvation. Make no hesitation to see what you've missed. Already made St. Pete's list, 'cause I pissed on a fundamentalist. This is an apple. That is what this is. This is, in fact, an apple. There's the stem, there's the peel, inside is the flesh, the fruit, and of course there is a core. That is an apple. Aren't you fucking sick of people who can't do it for real? Aren't you sick of people who don't do it for real? Aren't you sick of people who don't know how to do it for real? This is dedicated to Jennifer. We love you, Jennifer. I wish it were dedicated to more people, but you know, they need to make moves. Make some moves. It's called Lazy Angels. Squat woman sealed in a shadow frock. You know, here's the thing. If the people that you're pandering to want nothing to do with you, maybe you should reconsider your pandering. Maybe you should look at your peers who don't have those sorts of problems and understand why you do have problems. Maybe it's because being a condescending, pandering, ridiculous Coco the Clown of a fucking ideologue maybe doesn't work. Perhaps it doesn't work. Perhaps it's time to think of fucking something else. Squat woman sealed in a shadow frock, trimmed in white, absence of light, selling stories from her garden that she demands are heard, but is greeted with the silence of the crowd's indifference. She doesn't already know we can breathe and we can leave and will. She can't see that we already can walk through doors and open windows. Counterfeit prophet steals the locks. Illegal son, 0 as 1. Selling pictures of her dinner her guards are obliged to buy, even as her art collection is vanishing until the walls have nothing left hanging. She doesn't already understand that we can perceive and we can receive. She can't see that we can paint flowers with any of the colors that we can imagine, and we can imagine each of them. Their far and distant minds are trails best left behind. Sister to her father stops the drain under a rotting stage 6-month wage, selling reports carefully whispered, in hopes her wealthy relatives will let her sign their wills first. She doesn't already know that we are her, twice as much or more, a complete verse. She can't see the red and gold bird flying right above. She can't see that we are her, twice as much or more. She can't see that she hands her keys to a steed who gallops away into the orange rolling hills. On rolling hills, on rolling hills, on rolling hills. This is from a book I did a couple of years ago called The Female Perspective. I will tell a story that I told last week. Many years ago, I went to Columbia College, and I was in the elevator one day, and it was about 1996. I was in the elevator, and there was a thank you. There was a young girl, younger than me. I was only like 19 or something. She was younger than me though, and there was a older than me maybe, but about the same age, but probably older. So the girl was black, the guy was black, and he was just browbeating her. I sort of walked into the conversation. I mean, clearly, they had been talking, and he's just browbeating her. She was doing the filmmaking course, and I guess she was doing script writing, and so he was just going in on her about how she's going to write black characters. She can only write specific black characters because his concept was that if you see a black person in a movie, or if you have a movie with a prominently black cast, that is somehow supposed to tell the story of every black person that has ever lived throughout time, and that you are therefore making a mass judgment upon an entire section of the population, an entire race, and that this entire race has no variation and only moves in lockstep. Um, Clearly, that was where he was coming from, and he was just really going for it. And he's kind of like looking to me, seemingly for confirmation, kind of like raising his eyebrow, like, "Huh? What?" So I was aghast at this idea that this girl wouldn't just say what she has to say. She wouldn't just be natural. She wouldn't do it for real. She wouldn't talk about whatever it was that she wanted to talk about, and that she wasn't obligated to do anything other than say what she felt she had to say, whether that's political or not, whether she can be as abstract as she wants. If you're going to be an artist, you have to have all the tools available to you. I think that is a very reasonable position. I think that's a very human position, and it is a very non-condescending position. If you have a young person who's that curious and that ready to go, why would you want to why would you do anything or say anything to inhibit them? Why would you want to train them to only say certain things? That's poisonous. That's just fucking Satanism. And so he's clearly kind of like looking to me because he wants me to jump in and be like, "That's right." And I didn't. As the elevator doors open, I said, I quoted Neil Simon, and I said, I don't remember the exact quote anymore, but I used to. But I said something to the effect of, I think it's from Brighton Beach Memoirs. I said, once an artist starts to censor themselves, they are doomed to mediocrity. And they were getting out before me on a different floor. I was getting off on a later floor. And he just gives me like this look, like murderous glare, and is pushing her out of the elevator. I don't remember her response because I was just sort of looking at him because reacted so badly, and he like step out of the elevator and he has his hand on her back and he's like, "I'll tell you about people like him later." So I've never forgotten that because I thought that that was a interesting moment in my young life. So so yeah, this is
Simulacrum. Simulacrum.
again, aren't you tired of people who don't do it for real? This is called Diamond Mine, the middle of this piece. It's written that way on purpose. I'll just say that. Water rushing so fast it looks like knotted wood, its sound a ceaseless perpetual crash in static blue and black. Droplets burst over the plank sides and dot the dirt or land down kicked out bricks, and from the ravine's opposite angle the water seems to glide clockwise, rolling ever nearer toward the gears, and into the factory where 7 years previous the core of the industry sunk unexpectedly early, and like a defense attorney the treasurer ruled the materials used were archaic and their methods unrealistic, and his demands seized up the foremen and night shift technicians acidly joked they were laboring within the Great Repression. For ages it seemed like the beams from the afternoon sun wouldn't come, but we later learned the view was obscured from a flood started in the diamond mine. We know it's either tacitly implied or we're told outright. You can't be seen like that. You need lights. When money is exchanged and you're finally responsible and realistic, you can't be seen like that. You need lights. Know the value of being articulate and reconsider your obscure subject. You need to stay in the lines. You need to revise. Realize the need to eliminate images that would be unwise to present or ideas you'd be unable to defend. Why persist if honest people cannot implicitly understand? You can't be seen like that. You need lights. For years it seemed like the beams from the afternoon sun wouldn't come, but we later learned the view was obscured from a flood that started in the diamond mine. Back in the head office on the desk next to the coffee, scissors, and gold pen set was a black leather envelope in that morning's newspaper whose subheadline read, "Forget Forgetfulness," and detailed a local photographer who makes elaborate, enormous, near-twin gelatin prints of events, one real, one stage, and described the effect as painting over paintings. When asked by the reporter who will get this, the photographer remarked, "Anyone who misses being pure or ever imagined placing one point in time over another, anyone who pictures the shape of ideas and not the shape of their mind, anyone who sees a crowd and tries to find the people in disguise." Later, the paper lay open to the crossword puzzle, and among answers written in indeterminate script were asides like, "Does purpose follow appearance? Where is this from? Reasons better than because." And finally, determining what to become. This is from the new book. This is called Investigating Mitsy. She rides around the merry-go-round wearing satin slippers, chewing pink peppercorns. Her eyes are a miracle in the way they paint names in the minds of rain clouds. The lightning reaches out to introduce itself. The Queen of Atlantis draws filigree for the king while he's taking his bath. Bristling lips kiss the teeth of the key ring and lick ankles and math. She holds a bouquet of clarinets, wearing a lavender herringbone robe and nodding at buckets of soap. Her elbows hold her weight on the sand dune decorated with still wet seashells and teacups half filled with a treacle she pours onto tree roots. The Queen of Atlantis plans where the French and English will meet. The king eats suckling pig and excites the court over soaking his feet. This is an apple. It's called Canary Milk. Sweltering sun in the forecast, but it's raining right now. Retired teens nostalgic for holograms as their granddads watch rocks roll on the ground and wonder when they can be farmers in glass pods on Mars. While Amanda eats factory fresh candies and laughs jaggedly at vulgar stories. The boy who awoke in the toy aisle one evening moved more elegantly than his mother had ever seen as he picked items off a worn, well-folded list before deciding he'd rather have a pet eel instead. While Amanda watches her neighbors bickering and daydreams the deleted scenes of their past. The delivery man is ready for the weekend as he ignores reports on the European heat wave, instead marveling about the new house on his route and how much it must cost each month to get the swans fed and the water in the lagoon fresh, while Amanda feels no urgency to call back her agency and laughs at people voluntarily photographing their chores. This is a question that everyone will have to answer at some point in their lives. And I think it's a very important question. And that question, of course, is, would you sell the relics? The general that only cares about tomorrow also expects everyone to echo the same expression, and when the general can no longer see the power of their influence, they try and exert control over any small circumstances under their command, while the brigadier general worries to no one if they need a transfusion. The colonel, who's concerned that not enough people's fingerprints matches theirs, requires a warning on the front page of each report, along with a summary cut together by a subordinate in a matter of minutes, so they don't have to waste any energy generating any contradictory thoughts, while the captain enters their coordinates so their location is known and updated every moment, which leaves the captain free to make discoveries like the wheel or gravity, then sell their findings to the executives or campaign staff of their choice, urged by a strong sense of benevolence, a tribute to charity as a force. And the first lieutenant's unmatched love of history is proven by the pictures taken of their parents with Goebbels in Brazil in the 70s. And the second lieutenant's jealousy shows and grouses to one, "That's not Goebbels, it's clear it's Martin Bormann." The sergeant major that reset the standards of esprit de corps doesn't know the panic they'll feel a few short years later when they are urged out of the way, or they'll become stiff with resentment and resolute in their calls for punishment and institute measures to monitor how the company behaves, while the staff sergeant writes on a photo of themselves, "The future points to you," and daydreams about collecting the remaining virginities from the sorority house down the road, and they already have the names, ages, and weights in a frequently updated database. Then the staff sergeant complains about commercials before content. The chief warrant officer who breaks ranks to research the order the alphabet was created in gets rueful about seeing themselves age and attending charity events, funerals, and hospital visits, seeing their face in the mirror more washed out than before, wondering as they write their commencement address, who will even be paying attention in the audience, drinking from puddles and seeing what the sky says as children receive a small puzzle. And to the private, it's all an eye roll, and all so boring and shallow to see another round of legacy shut out by an offhand remark. The private doesn't ask any of the officers where they should start. What's the matter where rebellion is kitsch and trauma is Walmart? The specialist greets the private. They each think that the other is a dilettante. And later the specialist considers, what's the matter where you have 1,000 followers and not a dozen supporters? Would you sell the relics? So, some old favorites of mine surfaced again today. And again, aren't you sick of people who don't do it for real? Aren't you just sick of that? Aren't you sick of ululating for clicks? Aren't you sick of fucking insincere torch songs? Will you ululate for clicks? It's ridiculous. It's a fucking embarrassment. It's just a fucking embarrassment. You know, it's just such an embarrassment. Like, what do people convince themselves of? It's just absolutely ludicrous. I am so sick of people who cannot do it for real. This is about somebody who has absolutely given up and is just lying to you. You know, I will say this. The structure of things now, what used to be considered sellout and what is not sellout now, you know, a lot of that stuff, the internet has had the leveling effect that a lot of people predicted that it would. And so, you know, you have um, people who can achieve, you know, if Taylor Swift wants to be a human, a sentient Target or a sentient Walmart, you know, you don't have to jump through as many hoops. She went through it the old fashioned way, but you don't have to do that. You can become a Target or a Walmart on your own. You know, you can get sucked into the system without having to do it the old fashioned way. Um, but the people that, and that's fine, you know, but the people that think they're somehow subverting something, I mean, it doesn't get more delusional than that. And they kiss all the ass and they sign all the deals and they do the old Navy commercials. Um, and they're still basically unsuccessful versions of Taylor Swift. They're unsuccessful versions of Beyonce. They can't even work out how to pull that off. You know. So what is the point then? Um, if you're not subverting anything and you're on the side of the power structure and you're just an unsuccessful version, you're just Taylor Swift without the clicks, then what is the fucking point? What are you fucking doing? What are you doing? So this was written about somebody. I wrote this years ago. I wrote this in 2003. This is written about somebody who has given up. I haven't. This is called Philadelphia. I was in Philadelphia waiting for the maid. I glanced out the window, down at kids younger than me looking like I did when I was 16, comparing biographies, completing each other's fragments, exchanging glasses, freezing enzymes on magnets. I stopped by the swimming pool and flicked a few crumbs out of the water. The convention got postponed into a parade. The police misplaced the exit and were unsympathetic to the problems that they had failed to protect. Like a dinosaur shell had fallen and cracked the Liberty Bell, whose continued drone quit cell phones and traffic, and didn't cease until a line was cut to the Bryn Mawr bricks, which had gone unrestored since 1936. And Carrie, you saw the same kids I did, and you knew it had come to this. Carrie, hold out your hand. I don't want to reprint the sponsorship, because what was necessary has now become arbitrary. I was watching a movie with a chapter of valleys separating the tombs, an art that could be pointed to, and the assertion of dance, because that's where they can't aim at you. And you had been waiting since 1934, sleeping at Hepburn's door, and you wanted to feel safe just like Sharon Tate, while I wanted to be related to Betty Davis. Carrie, hold out your hand, because I don't want entertainment. I want some dark victory to grace us. I want some people who can do it for real. Those kids were rendered wet and recruited with the Tourette's of decades-old prints that took every context and ground it dull till there was no place left to articulate yourself through anything other than facts. Carrie, hold out your hand, because the distractions aren't safe. Hold out your hand. Your stage used to be my private place. This is an apple. This is Sacrifice the Satellite. Moments before dawn, phone ringing, unable to suss if it was happening from impressions born in shallow sleep while lights flicked on in neighbors' houses. Or as the drift seized me back in, we were gun runners trapped in a house, detained by police, threatened by rivals, but I was able to slither out a side door and snuck away to a cafe where I was supposed to summon assistance, but decided instead, the hell with them. I was called to a room. The walls of the hallway were painted blue, and when I entered, there they sat, looking exactly as they did in 1984. When one spoke, there was no sound but from their mouths, but the words synced loudly in my skull. Crushed flowers float downstream in the rainwater, and handmade smokestacks drip steam on half-awake blades of grass. New nuns count the gray hairs of their predecessors as they scan old photographs. Will they question who's alive in heaven? Are their words papering a mountain? They will have a moment where they behold the beauty of an empty screen or unplowed, snow-covered street. Lost in a world between are the souls who only dream when looking up. Thick, shimmering splotches of gray grease liquefy and start to drip down rust-colored walls of skins, watched by a babe with a flashbulb embedded in their wrist, who sits on gouged black and gold tiles in the center of a disused ballroom dance floor, among carelessly flung piles of metal-pronged monitors, cords, discs, and spilled coffee grounds, broken vodka bottles, and asymmetrical platinum wigs. Every year there's a whisper that the inventory will get a clean transfer. Winston Dubois knew the recovered money was wrapped in a mosquito net and secured in the back of a carriage. The horse stopped in front of an Air Force base, which got inadvertently captured on videotape, with the footage dissected by theorists for decades. Desmond Hampton learned Tony Chamberlain had double-crossed him as he drank milk and clapped erasers together outside his classroom. His signature had been forged and hidden throughout the system. The younger best brother thinks, if only I were a CEO, buying companies whose names I don't know, and could leverage my credibility to simultaneously flaunt my status and champion myself as an obscurity. The older best brother thinks, if only I were an oligarch and had a tapestry of machinery to do what I want, live in seclusion, invest in rare art, and pay for a hooker who looks like my daughter. Lost in a world between are the souls who only dream when looking up. The beams of starshine light land everywhere and leave valley-wide fingerprints for 7 years. My new glass tubes can shiver without bursting, squid ink on glistening diamonds laid out on linens, spirals scrawled on maps with the location leading inside a puzzle box, while fungus slides up to a microscope and mixes with vinegar and bleach. Circles of sapphires line the linoleum tile with the surface so improbably clear it mimics the screen. Lost in a world between are the souls who only dream when looking up. This is called Always, All the Time. Now then, the present is in the future. History is present. The future is present. The present is present, and history is history. We see the future pushed to the foreground wonderfully. All three, you and me. And as Dione said, I hope our future is like flying birds. The weather is in the sea, gravityless moment caught and dotted with cherry trees and colored pencils. And a taste of love, there is very little that matches what I feel when you smile back at what I whisper back to you. We're in the room and out of nowhere looking at the inlet together in letters and circles, like a slit in the curtain, like a fluttering bird ready to bathe, like an oxidized copper fountain. I want to be with you, always, all the time, like a white shirt with a fresh grass stain, like a streetlight breathing air, like waving from the top of a ladder. You plan all the plans, always, all the time, like a strawberry on the counter, like fingernails washed clean, like a bee being curious of a new flower. You are adorable, always, all the time, like pickled ginger on salmon, like a workbench in the sun, like an invention imagined. We are here with each other, always, all the time, like a cat cornering a grasshopper, like a licked stamp pressed with a thumb, like a rectangle with unbroken corners. You are mine, I am yours, always, all time. You don't like crazy music. You don't like rocking bands. You just want to go to a movie show. Sit there holding hands. You're so square. I don't care. I don't know why my heart flips. I only know it does. I wonder why I love you, baby. I guess it's just because you're so square. I don't care. You don't know any dance steps that I do. I don't know what I don't know why my heart flips. I only know it does. I wonder why I love you, baby. I guess it's just because you're so square. Oh, baby, I don't care. Oh, baby, I don't care. Oh, baby, I don't care. A blue wave sprayed gently onto the window. It remained an unfaded crescent reaching over the rooftop. Birds flew through untethered, droplets yawned in sonorous applause. The shape succumbed, giving way by matching passing movements. As when water splashes in the sky, a maypole stands unraveled while a sunfish kisses a butterfly. The fences were then a canvas, soaked tissue paper sprung over electrical wires, fragile forktails freshly shaven, as bronze tiger beetles glanced up at the heavens. Dance the night away! All right, everybody. That was another exciting edition of the quarantine stream. I hope that you enjoyed it. By the grace of God, we will be back next week. And let us hear the quarantine stream theme one more time, shall we? Beautiful. All right, everybody. I know this broadcast, this version is a little short, but we'll go a little longer next week to make up for it. We have important things to get to today. So anyway, hope you're all doing well out there. Like I said, by the grace of God, we will be back next week. Until then, stay safe, stay smart, and stay free, because you already are. Got that? Yeah. All right. Until then, thank you for watching. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye.